So I got a lot of dumb people that have this misperception and skewered way of thinking regarding employment, handout, and their perception of it. First of all, to all you people that think that I have not looked for employment, is the reason why I've had to divert my attention to writing an award-winning book. Chef Handler, let's say you do that. And in 2017, I had applied for 15 different jobs, which was work itself. It was very hard. I was working with vocational rehab, and I had 3 different interviews. I eventually landed a job as an electrician, which you need good passing high school grades or some type of credentials, and those are mandatory. You need to intelligently know mathematics. You need to have a full year of past algebra and at least a semester of geometry. And you need to have a full year past of English. That is beyond 10th grade level. English comprehension. I had both of those. I was employed right away. Didn't even have to take a freaking state exam for apprenticeship. And I graduated high school with honors. I got swooped up. Now, the intelligence aspect was there when it comes to mathematics and stuff, but when they ask you to go into a 45-foot ladder and you climb it all the way up and you're dealing with poles and crap like that, if you fall, depending where you land or anything, you could die. You can die from that high, and you don't have a harness on. The work was very demanding. Carrying the heavy equipment as an electrician and bending pipe was the least of my worries. Going high up without safety measures of without having certain tools to keep you safe when you're 50 feet, 60 feet, boom trucks. It's very humbling and very frightening, and it could be overwhelming. And so I was there for 30 days. I lasted a month. And it just wasn't for me, but at least I gave it a shot. I tried to fail. A lot of people don't even try. So the chef handler, yeah, you already know. And so I applied for that many jobs, got 3 interviews, and landed 1 job out of those interviews. Where else did I apply to? I applied for security positions, bar bouncer positions. I applied for office work, to basically work in a clinical office. I applied to be a stalker with the boxes, like the stalking, not gang stalking. I'm talking about like putting boxes up and storage space in the back and working in the back. And I even applied for 3rd shift late nights, and I'm very strong, and I even showed the boss, the supervisor, hey, I got this video of me putting up this much weight and being able to work out. And so they saw that, and they were like, yeah, you're strong, man, we can use you. Well, I did the application and everything, and then I felt like they were putting me in circles. Well, then, when I go there one day to just ask the supervisor what's going on with my application status, there was an employee that quit that day and came up to me and said, don't work for them. Don't work for them. And I said, well, what do you mean? They said, they're not people you want to work with. Go somewhere else. And I was like, all right. And she was pretty adamant. And so even the supervisor didn't even meet with me that day. They just said, hey, we'll meet with you tomorrow. And I'm like, all right. But then I go into reviews from employees that worked there for their employer, and they were all negative, and there were like 15 people that quit within that year. So their like hiring and quitting rate was really high, and I didn't want to be there because obviously there was something wrong with the place, administration wise, or maybe their character was just not right. And so I've applied for that many places. When I was a kid, I worked for a theater. When I was a kid, I worked there for 11 months, almost a whole entire freaking year. And they fired me without reason. They didn't have to give you a reason. But one of the assistant managers came up to me 2 weeks before I was fired and came up to me and said to me, Austin, why don't you smile? You need to smile. And completely dismissed the fact that of my autism, which I don't have to disclose to an employer. But that's the thing about Nebraska state laws is they don't have to have a reason to fire you. They can just tell you you're fired, and you're fired. That's it. But after the assistant manager, I came up to me with the Marcus Theaters, which at the time was Douglas Theaters. It was not owned by Marcus Theaters. It was Douglas Theaters. And it was with the general manager, the GM, and also the assistant manager, and they fired me. And I knew it was coming when I got the phone call, and they said, hey, we need to meet. And I said, what, you guys need my updated number? And they were like, no. And I was like, oh, this must not be good. And so then we meet, and then they fire me when we meet that day. And so I was like, all right. And I was actually working other people's shifts. Other people were not coming into work, and I was taking over their shifts. And so I was getting exhausted. And this is when minimum wage was $5.85. So, like, I was tired. I wasn't getting paid crap. And so then I decided to get employed at a different job around the same time. And I ended up working at UNL campus as a food prepping cook and chef. And I did tons of dishes. I cooked lasagna and pizza, but obviously I was under supervision when I did it. I was not the main cook. And that was a very stressful job. Unfortunately, I messed up the lasagna, I want to say 7 different times. And so they didn't want to fire me because the manager really liked me. And so they moved me positions from there to cooking omelets. So I did omelets, I think, for 4 different times. And then I ended up messing up somehow. So cooking is obviously not my gift, you know. Having autism makes it difficult to know how to cook anyways. And so that just wasn't my gift. But I made some pretty good omelets. You know, people didn't really complain. It was the fact that it was taking too long to get it done. You know, because I needed help with instruction and stuff. And so it took a while, you know. So then I'm like, okay, so I worked there for 6 months. And then later that year, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And so, like, my world just came down, right? It just crumbled down. But I had worked, and then even after my father died, I still continued to try to find work. And then I worked at a Russ's Market, and I was there, and they had compassion on me. I told them my situation. They knew I was young. The manager was awesome, and she felt for me, and the hours were long though, man. Like, it was literally from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. at night, and I'm struggling with the idealism of continuing to go to school, getting school done, and also having the loss of my father. So it made things really difficult. And so then I was like, okay, I'm going to focus on my education. I don't need to be employed right now. I'm very young. I have opportunity. So I focused on my education, and I was being looked at by Doane University and North Carolina State and for academic scholarship. And then I get arrested and accused of a robbery I didn't do in 2009. And people like the chef handler, they'll say things like, oh, you don't contribute to society, you want a handout. Well, let me tell you something, motherfucker. Let me tell you something. The reason why U.S. Code 42-12101, you uneducated dumbass, exists is because of the fact discrimination created these handouts that he claims that we have as a disabled community, that we are considered inferior. These handouts would not exist if discrimination would not take place in the workplace, the education setting, the recreational setting, and it's very explicit in the details of U.S. Code passed by USC, United States Congress, which, by the way, I'm going to be going to law school. So I already know a lot about pre-law, preliminary hearings, the basis of them in criminal court, civil court. I know a lot about legislature, bills, articles, reform. I know a lot about this stuff. I've been studying for 5 years on my own to prep me for when I go to pre-law, so I'm ahead of all the other students. So that way I know what I'm doing. The moral theory of the thesis and of the idealism and principle of why a law was created morally, because technically law was a moral upbringing, and that's why they exist for human rights purposes, such as the Eighth Amendment, free of cruel and unusual punishment and strategic indifference by a group. Now, a lot of you can't tell me what that is, and I'm not hating on you, I'm not shaming you, I'm just telling you I'm very educated with this stuff. But the chef handler, I'm shaming you. Because you have no right, and yet you have the audacity to talk down to me. Yet it's your discrimination why billions of dollars are being used on unnecessary funds stated in the freaking law. But you ain't gonna read it. Because you're one of those individuals that likes to stay blinded to continue to hate. But guess what? You're costing the taxpayer billions of dollars, and it states it in a law in 1990. The United States Congress made a redress with this law, stating in the law that because of discrimination, it is causing the American people billions of dollars for unnecessary things, because people like Chef Handler can't handle having an autistic guy work alongside him because he's a freaking fascist punk that claims to be a Nazi, and because of his Nazism and idealism of being a fascist was fascism, meaning using violence and hate speech to separate the group of people. Your grandfather and great-grandfather must be disappointed in you, especially if they fought in World War II. You swastika-loving fuck. So yeah, so that's the truth, and it's in the law, and it specifically states that because of discrimination, taxes go up. But you act like we're getting a handout that's affecting your taxes. Nah, motherfucker, you're affecting your own taxes with discrimination. But hey, it's easier to see the forest instead of the trees in front of you. But any white trash, unintelligent junkie is not going to articulate this to you. So Chef Handler doesn't really know what he's talking about, and yet he sees me practicing Krav Maga, Israeli martial arts, and Aikido, and he saw the videos. You know what this motherfucker said? Wow, you learned? Like, he was stunned. Then he said, I'm still going to knock your teeth out. I'm like, yeah, good luck, buddy. Good luck. Because if I get my chance, I'm going to put you in an arm bar. And I don't care how much you tap out. I'm waiting for that ligament to break. Yeah, good luck. Yeah. Yeah, I got the Chef Handler pretty stirred up right now. He's pretty whacked out of his mind. I got him stirred up, and I'm pretty proud of it too. Oh man, I love being gang stalked. It makes me feel very important. I mean, come on, man. As a targeted individual community, dude, they say we're nobodies, yet they're so focused on us and fixated on us. If we were a nobody, why you commenting on my section, buddy? Oh, I love the publicity. It makes me feel so good, man. Because I know that people aren't going to forget about me. They love me. But Chef Handler, ain't nobody love you, bro. You a nobody. You'll always be a nobody. And just so people know out there are people in the community that do suffer from different degrees of the spectrum of autism, and people like Chef Handler just wanna call you names at work. They want to talk behind your back at work. But I can guarantee he did that to me in person, he'd be drinking out of a straw. Hey, Chef Handler, by the way, if you're so gifted as a handler, why are you jacking off your dad all the time? I mean, come on, man. Everyone's seen the videos, bro. Come on, man. By the way, your mom is so hot. I'm sorry. I had to say it. Your mom's hot, man. She's got the thickest ass I've seen in a while. Man, that ass is plump. Stacy's mom got it going on. Stacy's mom got it going on. Chef Handler's mom wants me to palm that ass. Hey, anyways, just wanted to make this video. You know, I want to do some mockery on the little commenting section coward that, hey, he ain't ever gonna meet you in person and tell you his real name. By the way, Chef Handler, you ever want to come around, you say you know where I'm at, come on down, work some Aikido on that ass, bah. Do some fun shit to ya. So anyways, a lot of people like Chef Handler think they know what they know, but they don't know. Peace. And that's the way the cookie crumbles, bitch.